Tonight, I have some stories for you. Stories that weren't meant to be found. Stories hidden in the folds of the internet, whispered between strangers who never slept the same again. These aren't just tales to pass the time, they're confessions, glimpses into something beyond the trees, beneath the floorboards, or just outside your window. So get comfortable, turn down the lights, and whatever you do, don't look behind you. These are stories to fall asleep to. Story 1. There's a strange kind of quiet that blankets a town after midnight. It's not just the absence of noise, it's as if the silence itself becomes an entity, thick and heavy, creeping between houses and down empty streets like a fog. That was the kind of night it was in Mayfield, the town I moved to only 6 months ago. I had taken a job as a night janitor at an elementary school on the edge of town. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was quiet, predictable. After everything I'd gone through back in the city, the divorce, the job loss, the noise, I needed quiet. The school itself was small and old, built in the 60s with that blocky institutional charm, beige walls, flickering fluorescent lights, linoleum floors that squeaked no matter how careful you walked. My routine was always the same. I'd clock in at 10 p.m., work my way through the halls, classrooms, gym, and cafeteria, and be out by 5:30 a.m. Most nights, I'd never see another soul. But last Tuesday, everything changed. I had just finished sweeping the third grade hallway when I noticed something odd. There was a door at the end of the corridor I didn't remember. I stood staring at it for a full minute. It was dark green, a shade that didn't match the other doors, and had no label, just a tarnished brass knob. I'd been working there for months. I knew every classroom, closet, and exit. This door wasn't supposed to be there. I walked toward it slowly, my footsteps echoing louder than usual. I half expected it to disappear the closer I got, like some trick of the eye, but it didn't. It stayed there, real, solid, and wrong. I reached out and touched the handle. It was cold, much colder than anything else in the building. I gave it a turn, expecting it to be locked, but it wasn't. The door opened silently. Inside was darkness. Not just an unlit room, but something deeper. The kind of darkness that swallows light. I aimed my flashlight in and stepped inside. It was a stairwell, narrow, descending. The walls were concrete, damp, and crumbling in places, and the air smelled of mildew and something metallic. I should have turned around then. I should have shut the door, reported it, walked away, but I didn't. I went down. Each step groaned under my weight. The further I went, the more oppressive the air became. It felt like the air down there didn't want to be breathed. I reached the bottom after what felt like 5 stories, though that made no sense. The school only had 2 floors. The hallway at the bottom stretched on far longer than the building should have allowed. Along the sides were doors, dozens of them, all identical, featureless, unmarked, shut tight. Then I heard it, a soft whisper. Not words, just the suggestion of a voice. It was coming from behind one of the doors. I should have run, but I didn't. I pressed my ear against the wood and listened. Scrape. It sounded like something dragging across the floor. Thump. Something heavy. Then, a knock. Not from inside the room, from behind me. I turned, and there was a figure at the far end of the hallway. Tall, thin, wrong. Its limbs were too long, joints bent in unnatural ways. Its head looked like it was wearing a deer skull. Antlers scraped the ceiling as it moved. It didn't walk, it twitched forward in sharp, unnatural jerks. I backed up. My breath caught in my throat. The flashlight flickered, once, twice, then died. I ran. I didn't care about the noise, I didn't care about anything but getting out. I hit the stairwell, bounding up the steps 2 at a time. I could hear it behind me, scraping, thudding, getting closer. I slammed through the door at the top and turned to shut it, but there was nothing there. No stairs, no door. Just the beige wall of the 3rd grade hallway. I stumbled back, breathing hard, sweating. The door was gone. I didn't report it. Who would believe me? I finished my shift and left before the sun came up. That morning, I drove straight to the principal's office and quit. But sometimes, late at night, I hear things. Scraping sounds behind walls, hollow thuds under the floorboards. And sometimes, just before sleep takes me, I see it in my mind. That figure, antlers scraping the ceiling, still twitching toward me, still hungry. Story 2. When I was 17, I worked as a junior counselor at a summer camp tucked deep in the forests of northern Oregon. It was one of those jobs that felt like a rite of passage. Rustic cabins, mosquito bites, stale marshmallows, and ghost stories around the fire. The camp was called Elk Hollow. I always thought that name was a bit ominous, but no one else seemed to think so. There was a strict rule. No one was allowed past the red trail markers behind Cabin 6. The director, an older man named Paul, told us those woods were private land and unsafe. Steep drops, old wells, and bad footing. He was adamant. Campers were never allowed past the markers, and neither were we. So, of course, that's where we went. It was the third week of July, and two of the counselors, myself and a guy named Connor, snuck out late one night after lights out. We brought a flashlight, a pack of Oreos, and a lighter in case we felt bold enough to make a fire. Mostly, we just wanted to explore. That forbidden line was too tempting. We followed the trail behind Cabin 6 until we saw the red markers nailed into the trees, faded paint, barely visible. Beyond that point, the forest grew noticeably darker, denser, quieter. We crossed the boundary. At first, it was fun. We joked about finding Bigfoot or a cabin full of old campers who never made it back. But after 15 minutes of walking, everything just shifted. The trees started looking wrong. I know that's vague, but it's the only way I can describe it. They looked the same, but also like they were watching us. The branches curled in ways they hadn't before. The air got colder, damp, like the way a basement smells after it's flooded. And then we heard it. A whistle. Not a bird, not the wind. A human whistle. 3 notes, soft and rhythmic. It came from somewhere ahead of us, too far to see. We froze. I looked at Connor. He grinned nervously. Probably another counselor messing with us. Then it came again. This time closer. Same 3 notes, soft, deliberate. I whispered, "We should go back." Connor didn't argue. We turned around and began walking fast, but quietly. The flashlight was dimming, and the beam was starting to flicker. Just before the light died completely, I turned around. There was someone standing in the trees. At least, I thought it was someone. It was tall, really tall, but impossibly thin. I mean unhealthy thin, and its limbs looked wrong. Too long. Elongated in ways that didn't seem human. It wasn't moving, just standing between 2 trees, partially in shadow. Then it whistled. 3 notes. I turned and grabbed Connor by the sleeve. "Run!" We didn't speak. We didn't look back. We sprinted through the trees, crashing through undergrowth, barely able to see. The trail was gone. I didn't care. Branches whipped across my face. My legs burned. My chest heaved. Still, we ran. And then, the forest opened up. We burst through a line of trees and found ourselves standing right behind Cabin 6. I swear to you, we had been running in the wrong direction. We never made a turn, never looped back, but somehow, that thing had led us back to camp. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. The next night, Connor didn't show up till lights out. At first, the other counselors thought he was just sick or skipping curfew. But I knew better. I went looking for him. I searched the bathrooms, the mess hall, even checked down by the lake. Nothing. I waited until everyone was asleep, grabbed the flashlight, and went back to Cabin 6. The red trail markers were still there, nailed to the trees like silent warnings. I stood there for a long time, staring into the woods. Then I heard the whistle. 3 notes. But this time, it came from behind me. I turned, slowly, and saw something crouched beside the cabin. It was the same thing we'd seen in the forest. Same unnatural limbs, same towering height. But now I could see it clearly. Its face wasn't a face at all. Just stretched, pale skin where eyes and a mouth should be. And its chest was moving, pulsing. Something was inside it. I took a step back, but it stood up, towering above me, bones cracking, neck bending. It opened its chest. Inside was Connor's face. Not his whole body, just his face, frozen in horror, stretched across the inside like a mask. His eyes were open, mouth half screaming. The thing whispered, not in words, but a sound like breath being drawn in wrong. Then it folded back into the woods. The next day, Paul told everyone Connor had been picked up early by his parents. No one questioned it. No one seemed to even remember he'd been gone the night before. I stayed quiet. I didn't want to end up like him. But sometimes, when the wind is just right, I still hear the whistle. 3 notes, calling me back. If you're still with us, maybe you've already drifted off. But if not, thank you for listening. These stories were meant to unsettle, to echo in your thoughts as you close your eyes tonight. If you enjoyed this experience, consider leaving a like, subscribing, or just joining us again when the night feels too quiet. Sleep well, if you can.